All right, ladies and gents, welcome to this video. My name is Taylor Bentrud, and in this video, we're going to go over our agency reporting dashboard, which we use predominantly to keep a good pulse on the health of our agency in a few various different dimensions. There's some KPIs that we really like to track, which I'll share with you, and maybe it'll be insightful for you and your agency to help you grow. If you're not familiar, if you're new to this channel, my name is Taylor Bentrud, which I think I already said in the beginning of this video, but I run an agency called BetterAMS. We have about 15, maybe 17 people. We do about 115,000 per month as of last month, April. That's pretty consistent. We've been able to manage over 6 figures monthly for pretty much most of this year, which is great. And yeah, this is the sheet we use to help us track a lot of different things finance related and health of business related. So obviously we have a lot of information blurred out because we have all of our client information in here, but just to give you an idea of what is most important. So right now we're looking at April 2021 performance, and in the top left hand corner you're going to see the monthly financials. Okay, I'll hover over it with my mouse here. So profit margin on cash, right now it's 1.95%. This is essentially just calculating the overall profit on cash divided by the real revenue so that we can see what our profit margin is based on what we've collected. Pretty straightforward. Profit margin on revenue, this is what our profit margin will be when all of our clients have paid us. I like to see these two numbers because, as some of you probably know, collecting cash and getting clients to pay can be kind of an issue sometimes, and you just want to make sure that you're getting paid. And so if 2 months goes by and we're looking at our PM on cash and it's still 1.95%, obviously that's an issue because we haven't really profited anything for the month of April. Profit on cash, that's obvious. We just talked about what that is. That is basically just the paid invoices plus the DSP net income minus the overall expenses. So just what is the actual what have we been paid minus the expenses, and that gives us our profit on cash. Profit on revenue, this is just very obvious. It is expenses minus revenue minus expenses. Then we have our real revenue. Then we have our gross revenue. What's the difference? Well, we empower our account executives to waive invoices if they feel that the performance of our service doesn't justify the full retainer. Sometimes we'll waive 20%, 25%, 50%, sometimes the whole thing. And sometimes it's not related to poor performance. Sometimes it's just related to a client's whole business is shut down because they are out of stock, and they're waiting on a shipment from China to come in. And so that's an issue. Paid PPC invoices, unpaid PPC invoices waived. Then we have DSP. DSP is the second service that we recently launched about a year ago, and this is basically programmatic advertising through Amazon's programmatic platform, which they call DSP. And so we like to see what is the overall revenue that we're getting from PPC versus the overall revenue that we're pulling in from DSP. And DSP's net income was $16.2 thousand. PPC was, I believe, a total 100. I don't think actually we have it broken out, but basically we could add these two and it would come up to about 99,000 if we had the waived 104,000 PPC basically. Revenue received, total paid via CC versus wire. This isn't actually 100% accurate. We need to factor in the DSP, but that's all wire. So I like to see how much money we're receiving from wire transfers versus credit card. Some of you guys may have this. I don't know if this is an issue for you. We're based out of a corporation that's based out of Panama. This is where I live, Panama City, Central America, not Panama City, Florida. And so we have to monitor how much money we're billing via credit card, because if we go over like 150,000 per month, we need to contact the bank and ask them to increase our processing limit with our merchant account. Pretty straightforward process, but it's just important that we track it so that months ahead of time we can increase the credit card processing amount so we don't have issues with being unable to bill clients. The bank usually takes 2-3 weeks to do that, so yeah, Panama's pretty slow in that regard. Here's where we go a dimension deeper, okay? So on the left-hand side, the monthly financials, that's the global view, highest level dimension that you typically will see when you hire an accounting firm or a bookkeeper, and they'll tell you the profit, the revenue, the expenses, etc. And that's great. That's really high level. Now we go a little bit deeper into the dimension of our metrics by account executive. And again, probably I'll blur out the names, I guess. But we want to see, okay, what is the retention rate of this person here? This is Destiny, so I have no problem saying her. Destiny's retention rate for the month of April is 100%. That's great. That's just, if she lost a client, it would not be 100%. She hasn't lost any clients, so it is 100%. Revenue for Destiny, this is the amount of client revenue that she is managing. That is 16,000. ISC stands for independently signed clients. Essentially, that just means that she signed one client this month. I won't get into ISCs and what that means. We kind of have changed it. Revenue received, this is the AR of Destiny. So the accounts receivable, basically how much of Destiny's client invoices have been paid. And I don't believe it's calculating correctly because it says 94%, which is odd considering it says, oh, yeah, I know why this is. So there's some, obviously there's some inaccuracies in the data. This is why, and we'll get into the part 2 of this video, we are hiring a reporting dashboard backend, probably macro VBA app scripts developer genius through Upwork to take this dashboard and build the version 2. I personally built this entire thing. Alex came in and edited it and made it significantly better in certain regards regarding aesthetic. It was pretty, yeah, it was, if you see the previous video we made aesthetic wise, Alex made a lot of improvements, and also just adding DSP and different things. So myself and Alex kind of have built this version of the sheet, and our knowledge of like building sheets and reporting is not that great. So we're going to hire somebody who's amazing at taking this information and consolidating it into a much better database that we can then plug into a tool like Data Studio, a tool like DataBox, a tool like one of these reporting tools that allows us to see things in a much more beautiful light. So there is some inconsistencies. We're working on hiring somebody this month actually and building out the wireframe for the V2 dash, which I'm very excited about. Invoices waived. We want to see how who is waiving how much in invoices. This is important. Clients managed. How many clients does Destiny manage? She manages 4. How many clients did she lose? How many new clients did she take on this month? What is her average retainer? It's 5.2 thousand per month. What's the average ARD? The average account receivable days for Destiny is 7.8 days. This just tells us how many days on average it takes for Destiny to for Destiny's clients to pay, right? So from the moment the invoice is sent, on average, Destiny's clients take 7.8 days to pay. This goes up every single day if there isn't clients paying, obviously, right? So I won't get into formulas. It's probably too in depth, but Alex, same thing. Yeah, everybody else's metrics are basically the same. Now below here we have client billing information. Obviously this is all blurred out, but we just have the account executive. We have the client start date. So this is the date the client started. So that's important because we obviously can't track how long client has been with us if we don't put the start date somewhere and track that. The account name, did the account executive do a monthly call? Who signed this client? So if this is a new client, we want to put the name of the person here. ASC or ISC, I won't get into this, that's irrelevant. Months retained, obviously this is the amount of months that the client has been retained. Commission, so this is the commission that the person is getting on this account. We have a commission structure. The AE managing, since this, we won't get too much into this, but it's, yeah, we won't get too much into this. Date lost, if we lost a client, we'll put the date that we lost them here, and that feeds into some formulas that calculate the average retention rate. Company name, company address, billing information, all that stuff is just private client information that we use for obviously sending invoices and etc. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay, now here's the 2021 financials overview. And this is where we get a little bit of graphs. And again, it's high level. It lacks a lot, which is why we're very excited to build the V2 of this dash. But yeah, open. This is basically our overall financials. We have a graph that shows us our actual revenue versus our target revenue. And this is basically just year to date. So last month, April, our target revenue was 120. Our real revenue is 115. Next month, our target revenue is 130. And you can see it goes up. You'll also see in the next thing, we have profit on cash versus profit on revenue. Again, this is just important so we can see overall like how we're doing accounts receivable wise. Right now, it's not the best. And we're working on making a lot of improvements to improve our AR. It's actually a red flag going on right now is AR. And then we have PM on cash versus PM and PM on rev versus target rev. This isn't even, I don't believe it's even calculating. And again, why we're hiring somebody. PM on cash versus PM on rev versus target. PM at the quarterly basis. So we really want to shoot for like 35% target profit margins. That would be amazing if we can hit 35%. It's not really realistic right now given how much we are trying to proactively scale. So one thing is scaling, another thing is being very proactive about everything. And so hiring a lot of people very early on so that we don't run into bottlenecks where we don't have enough capacity. That's adds a lot of expenses. Hiring software developers, hiring people to build dashboards like this, hiring recruiters, just hiring a lot of people and having a lot of salaries to pay out for biz development stuff, building softwares and building a better reporting dashboard like this is kind of just investments more or less. And so that messes with your profit margins, and we're still able to manage 25%, which is great. And that's kind of where we want to be at a minimum, in my opinion. What else do we have? We have a table going over all of the stuff we have year to date. If anybody really cares in knowing, our revenue is about $425,000. With May's revenue, it'll be about 500, 535-ish, something in that range. So this is the reporting dash. We also have it on a quarterly basis so we can see our overall like profit, rev, expenses, real rev versus gross rev on a quarterly basis, which is nice. And then the year to date 2021 obviously in this table. Great. So here's the reporting dash. Got it. We shared everything. Take a look inside our business. Look at all our numbers. Happy to share this. Here is what here's the vision for the V2 of this dash, which I'm so excited for. And I spent all day, I think it was yesterday, not all day, the quarter of the day yesterday, brainstorming and building out the wireframe for this V2. Okay, imagine you have like a data studio dash with a graph that allows you to filter by account executive. You could select Taylor as an account executive. And then on the graph, you can see Taylor's MRR managed every single month. You can see it on a quarterly basis. You can see it on a monthly, on a annual basis. And not only could you get to see Taylor's MRR, but you could see Taylor's salary. And so if you have salary increases, you get to see over time how Taylor's salary has increased. And then you can compare salary increases with like retention rate, with like MRR managed. It would be great. What we would love to do is calculate profit margin per account executive. So factoring in the salary and the overall expenses of the team on average per AE. What is the overall profit per AE so that we can kind of see who may not be the most profitable, and other things like, let's see, LTV. We don't really track LTV. It's something that we would love to track. What's our average lifetime value of a client? So that we can kind of get metrics on like, okay, if our LTV is $26,000 on average, which I imagine it's much higher. I imagine it's probably 40, 50 plus thousand. Great. If that's the case, now we know that we can pay $5,000, $10,000 to acquire a customer or acquire a client, because our LTV is 40, 50,000 or whatever that is. So LTV will be a good one. LTV in different dimensions. So when you think about all the typical metrics that a business should track, retention rate is obviously a very important one. LTV is a very important one. But what we really want to do at this dash is the ability to see these important, very common metrics that every business should be tracking, but in very different dimensions. So I want to see what is our retention rate quarterly, what is our retention rate annually, year over year over year. So I could see like 2016 versus 2017 versus 2018 versus 2019, etc. Or what about, I want to see the retention rate of this year on a quarterly basis compared to the quarters last year. So you get to see retention rate in so many different, time frames and views on a graph. And that is what, and not only that, but then you can drill down and segment and see like, okay, retention rate as a business, so that's a global dimension view, and then retention rate as an account executive. So I want to see the retention rate of, Destiny 2020 versus 2019. Okay, what was her average client retention rate year over year? Is it going up? Is it improving? Now, why are we investing in this? Why are we doing this now? It's interesting, when our agency was small, when it was just me and Des, when it was just me, Des, and Alex, when it was just me and Des, we had no real tracking. We weren't even doing stuff like this. We had no dash that was tracking client retention rate, how many days we'd retained a clients. And why was that? It was primarily just because we were very small, we were very scrappy, and tracking didn't necessarily matter too much because we're a small team. When you start hiring people, when you have 5, 6, 7 account executives, and now you have to take care of, salary increases and performance evaluations and stuff like this. Well, now you need some numbers to look at. When it's just you, it's your performance. No one's trying to evaluate what kind of raise or salary increase you should get. But when you have to take care of your people and you want to be able to give them, solid performance, raises and salary increases and bonuses and incentives and stuff like this, well, now you need data. You can't just do performance reviews and give salary increases based on subjective analysis. You have to have some form of objective analysis. And where does objective analysis come from? Well, for an account executive, fortunately, you can have a lot of data. And there's other roles where there isn't a whole lot of data that's not very easy to track. For example, if you have a full-time developer, well, you have a developer who built a really great application. How much does that application benefit the overall business? That's where it gets a little bit harder to track, but there's still ways that you can try to track it. So hopefully you're starting to see the vision as to why an agency reporting dashboard can become very important for your agency as you scale. The more people you hire, in my opinion, the more important tracking and reporting things like retention rate, per AE, LTV, MRR, AR, and all these things on so many different dimensions and timeframes becomes very important, because all we're talking about here is BI, business intelligence, business analytics. You need numbers. When you go to an offsite with your leadership team, it's very insightful if you have a dashboard that you can tap into to see metrics on every different important area of your business. So starting out with this dash, we're going to just predominantly focus on HR and finance. So, performance of account executives and performance of the business financially speaking. And then we're going to move it into integrating marketing and sales into this dashboard. That's my overall vision for this. So how many leads did we get month to month, quarter to quarter, year to year? How many deals did we close quarter to quarter, month to month? What's the MRR that we gained, quarter to quarter, month to month, etc. So all of this kind of stuff. So that's a big brain dump on the vision of the V2 of this dash. I'm very excited to build it, all of which is going to be shared inside of Agency Enlightened when this freaking program launches. I'm working on building it. That's pretty much it. This template is not available to share for free. You pretty much saw everything that there is in this template though, so you could spend days recreating it. It took me a long time to build this thing, get all the formulas and hook it up, etc. It'll take you a long time. For those of you who may be watching that are in the Agency Line program already, this is going to be shared when the program is actually finished. And the new dash as well, I'm very excited to share it on YouTube when we get it built. We'll definitely share it and show kind of the improvements from the V1 to the V2. So anyways, if you guys enjoyed this, there's only one thing I ask of you. It's to hit the subscribe button, please, and thank you. Hopefully you enjoyed this. If you have thoughts, please let me know in the comment section below. I do my best to respond to all comments. And what else? Hit the like button. If you don't like this video, hit the dislike button. If you don't like this channel, hit the unsubscribe button or just never subscribe. All right, much love, you guys. I'll see you in the next video. I hope you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching. Ciao.